Now, if you've logged into social media today as a Bristol City fan, you're probably wondering what on earth is going on. We'll try and unpick it all, and I'm going to try and offer some balance as well as we go through it all in this video. I'm going to start with a couple of departures because it's probably the less juicy stuff, if you like. Max O'Leary has joined West Brom. Fair enough. I think it's safe to say that he's a championship quality goalkeeper. Probably deserves championship game time. He's not going to get that at the club. He's moved to West Brom to get that. I've seen a lot of stick around Max O'Leary on social media, and I don't like to attack players personally. I want to try and reflect as fondly as I can on Max's time at Bristol City. He's done a statement there, which we'll read in a second. But overall, I think this guy he's literally lived the dream of many, right? He's, I think, been at Bristol City for pretty much the entirety of his time in the game of football, right? He's, 28, 29? So he's been here for 18 years. So he's been here since like the age of 10, 11. He's literally lived the dream, playing for his boyhood club. The chances of making it as a pro footballer are so slim, and he's done that, and fair play to the guy. I wouldn't say, my opinion on Max is he's a very capable championship level goalkeeper, but if you want to take the push to playoffs or promotion, he's just not quite there with the limitations to his game. That's kind of the opinion that I form his statements. In fact, I won't read it. It's been on screen for long enough, you can see it yourself. But yeah, first bit of news, departure of O'Leary, he's gone to West Brom. All right, this happened yesterday, so it's not exactly breaking, but Haydon Roberts has gone and joined Reading. We will actually have a fee for him. I think we get a small fee for O'Leary as well. I imagine it's both players are probably sort of in the 1 to 300k sort of region. I mean, Max, I think, has only signed a 6-month contract with West Brom. And yeah, that's obviously, he's not going to cost a boatload, and neither is Haydon Roberts. My sentiment towards Haydon Roberts is probably a bit less than Max O'Leary, but I have nothing personal against the guy. I just don't think he's been good enough to play for us, has he? And we'll always have the West Brom goal last season to hold. I mean, for me, it's one of my greatest ever football memories, that goal. I've never celebrated a goal anything quite like it, even like England in the latter stages of World Cups and stuff that we've had before. I don't think I've celebrated goals like I celebrated Haydon Roberts's. It was such a big goal at a real crucial time of the season. He's gone to Reading. People obviously have his criticisms. He gets ripped a little bit on City social media, but I think that's his level. I think he'll be perfectly decent at League One, in my opinion, and Reading is a good club for him. It's not too far from Bristol. He'll do well there, I think, and fair play to him for getting the move. He deserves football, just probably not for us. Now then, this is where it gets a little juicy, and I'm going to try and dissect it, because I think some of it involves people applying their own subjective, opinionated views to things, right? But we had a couple of tweets from BCFC Shags today. I'd say a popular account that is known for giving information about behind the scenes in the football club, right? I don't feel like I'm breaking any barriers by showing these tweets in this video. It's already, you can see it's reviewed by 59,000 people. So me sharing this in a YouTube video, I think, is hardly controversial. You've probably seen this tweet already. We've missed out on Bergsorg. I made a video about that yesterday. Don't know who our other transfer targets are. Obviously, the club aren't going to communicate that kind of stuff. It's just not what happens in football. Shags has suggested that Ryan Hardy and Reyes, who I believe is an attacker currently at Barnsley, if I'm not mistaken, young player with some good potential by the sounds of it. I can't confess to know too much about him. Ryan Hardy, I think, is, I'd just say, a sort of average level sort of championship-ish forward. That's where I'd go there. I think he's had spells at Plymouth and currently on the books at Wrexham, I believe. So that's apparently our two latest targets. Then we have some news on Anis and Zach. Apparently they're going to leave the club this window. There have also been some suggestions from the Shags account that both Anis and Zach have down tools. I've seen those tweets. I reacted quite quickly on Twitter to them saying it's unacceptable if they've down tools or whatever. But I asked myself, and fair enough what Shags is saying, but I've asked myself, have I seen them with my own eyes down tools? I've seen performance levels drop a little bit, but then, VYNER has played right wing back, midfield, and then got injured against Ipswich. And Anis, he's not obviously scored in a few games, I think, but no, he scored against Watford, didn't he? So there's only been 2 games where he hasn't scored. But performance levels, everyone has kind of dropped in recent weeks, so I don't think I've necessarily seen them down tools. But anyway, it looks like they're going to leave this window, according to this news. And I think, to be honest, you can kind of understand it, really. It sounds like we've offered them decent deals, but let's be honest, I don't think we could compete with some of the other clubs that these two could sign for. Like, I think Anis, he could potentially go to some, I would say, very low level, sort of I call them rubbish teams, but worse teams in the Champions League because the competition's opened up now. He could play in the Europa League or wherever this season. I think he could go to a club that could pay him way more than Bristol City could. And VYNER, I mean, I think we were subject to interest from Wrexham for him in the summer. And let's be honest, right? I'm going to draw full conclusions on the window when it closes, but ambition level shown by Wrexham versus Bristol City in the window so far, there's only one winner in that argument. I think Wrexham would pay him more money than this club would. And also, I think probably raises his profile a bit more as well. You know, with the documentaries, the two owners that they've got. I mean, I think the move makes sense for both players, right? So I'm not going to personally have any animosity for the two for leaving. A couple of interesting bits of news. You've got Jason Knight's brother apparently going to join the under-21 setup. And I don't think it'd be any real surprise, and we'll move on to it, because it does look, unfortunately, a little bit doom and gloom at the moment. The board are not happy with what Struber has said in recent media comments. Now, I'm going to be very careful about what I say here, because I've noted that videos I do get a few thousand views, right? I'm not going viral or anything like that, but they get watched by people, and I realise that, you know, you might listen, you might care about what I say, you might not, but I could have some kind of influence on things, and on people's opinions, at least, straight after watching this video, right? And the last thing I want to do is overblow a situation which is, at the moment, just a comment in an interview. So this is what Struber has had to say about the Bergzorg deal falling through. We were super close, but we got the stop signs from Middlesbrough. Really disappointed, especially when you invest so much time with a player. We showed his quotes yesterday. He was suggesting where the responsibility lied for getting players in, saying he's the head coach. It lies with the recruitment team or department. I can't remember if he said team or department, but he was squarely saying where the responsibility lies. Now, historically, that doesn't end well for managers in general. We've seen in the Premier League this season, Glasner doing it at the moment with Palace. Amorim speaking out about his board again at Man United and getting the sack. Struber, he's got previous with this. I think he fell out with the board at Cologne, his previous club, when they were first or second in the German second division. And as I understand it, we had a Barnsley fan on actually for an interview on the channel when we heard that Struber got the job. He left the Barnsley setup because of a lack of funds or ambition from the board. So, you know, there is a previous of this, but at the same time, you can't blame Struber for saying this, right? I think if you're a self-respecting football manager, you want your board to help you out, right? And I think he's probably closer to the internal. Well, he is obviously closer to the internal dealings and setup at the club. Probably a little bit closer to the finances exactly as well, to know where maybe the Semenyo money's getting spent. He's closer to it all, so he's probably more entitled to an opinion than us fans are, really. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know what I mean, right? It's a worry, and the conclusions should be drawn at the end of the window, right? But the worry is, if the club don't act in the window, the next couple of seasons could be really worrying. And this is kind of what I tried to avoid saying on my last video, but I don't think I'm saying this will happen because it's not the end of the window yet. But if we don't show a little bit of ambition and bring a couple of players in, especially with all the outgoings we've had, you've got Jason Knight and Ross McCrory with a year left on their deal. We haven't actually, I don't believe, renegotiated a deal for McCrory. We've simply activated an option so he stays another year. Jason Knight, Max Bird, all of these sort of, I'd say, players that should, they would be having ambitions to get promoted. You're seeing what's happening around Bristol City at the moment. Are we painting a good picture to these players that if you stay at Bristol City, you're going to get promoted to the Premier League? I'm not sure we're doing that. And with that in mind, you wonder what could happen in future seasons with the club, with the level of ambition and expenditure that's being shown at the moment. There's more factors behind it than that. The club is for sale or looking for investment, etc., etc. I get that, but that is a sort of a long-term vision you could have if nothing happens. And I think all of that is sort of coming to light on social media today, and I think fans are seeing that. At least that's what I've seen from what's happened. Again, I think It's very important, I think, that we've still got days left of the window and there is an opportunity to take action and make things happen. That's obviously the case. So it's, I think, important not to draw conclusions until then. But I think there is a vision of what could happen if we don't play our cards right. All right. Well, there we have it. I think that was a fairly balanced view on things. I don't think I said anything there that was crazy and not backed up by, you know, evidence and stuff that we have already. I was so keen to record this video. I literally got straight home from work in my work club and just hit record. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the let me know by leaving a like rating, and also let me know in the comments like your thoughts on the whole situation at the moment. Players you'd like to see us sign, where you feel Bristol City are, you know, going to go in the next few seasons. Because I've got to say, it's hard to be positive at the moment. I'm really trying, but it's hard. I mean, I think we sold out both Swansea away and Port Vale away. I imagine it's going to be really busy at the gate on Saturday. So I feel like the fans are still doing their bit. And I think we need a bit of help, to be honest. Anyway, that's just my view. Yeah, if you haven't already, do subscribe to the Robin's Nest. It should be just there on the screen. And I'll see you in my next video. Probably won't be too long before I make another one with everything that's happening. All right, see you later.